research at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got the PI, Principal Investigator from Topaz Clinical Research on. So I know it's going to be a good one. And then there's always room for networking at the end too. We keep it, we call it organized chaos. We keep see the mic. Can you guys hear me okay on Instagram? So we make it like a mixer as well at the end, but the beginning is formal. It's a presentation. So make sure you go to latinosinclinicalresearch.com. There's a calendar now. I'm going to try to keep it active when we have live events. So we have a live event this week, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, with the PI from Topaz Clinical Research. And then we've got a live event next week as well when we're doing our COVID series. But I want to know how everyone's doing today. How's everybody doing? You can hear me. Okay, good, Denise. Good. How's it going? Anybody out there monitoring right now? I actually have to schedule my next IMV. Thank you guys for reminding me. Latinas in clinical research. There we go. There we go. Hopefully you can join us tomorrow. Hey, Nancy. Nancy's always a regular on the Latinos in clinical research, as well as the Clubhouse. And I know a lot more people have been joining Clubhouse. And oh, from Paris again. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me know what questions you guys have in the comments. There's a lot to say about the next decade. And I actually did a video over the weekend on some stocks that I think are going to be the main beneficiaries of a really good next decade in clinical research. Hassania, the event I'm referring to is tomorrow, latinosinclinicalresearch.com. Just go to the website right now, subscribe, and then check out the calendar so you can get the Zoom info. I sent an email this morning. I'm going to send another one tomorrow to remind everybody about it tomorrow, so everyone who signed up to the email list gets it. But back to the decade that's booming, okay? We all, there's going to be a handful of companies that are going to be beneficiaries of this. And these companies, unlike the biotech companies that I usually cover, where they rely on catalysts, these companies are selling tools to help, to kind of capitalize off of the boom. So if you think about it, a CRO, a research site, a eSource vendor, an IRB, right? These are all individuals, you and I, freelance contractors, employees. These are all beneficiaries of clinical research. And if you subscribe and not getting emails yet, please check your spam and mark as a trusted recipient. Hello from South Africa. So there's a lot of beneficiaries from clinical research. You don't have to gamble on which biotech is going to get approved or not. Like I called KMPH, got approved. I'm waiting for the stock to go up though, but that's a different story. I called it, got approved. That's risky. Betting on the next decade for clinical research to be a boom decade is less risky. And there are companies that benefit by having tools. They have tools just like during the gold rush in California in the 1940s, I think. The people who made the most money were not the ones who were mining for gold. They're the ones that were selling the shovels, the picks. Levi's jeans was created from that. Okay, so those are the same, that's the same analogy I'm using for these companies that I mentioned in my video. But basically, if you're an individual working in the industry, if you're a contractor, if you're a site, if you're a CRO, if you're an IRB, if you are a tech vendor, if like anything other than a sponsor, you're going to do well in the next decade. Some of the sponsors might do well too, but that's riskier. The sponsors are the ones paying for everything. That's why they're called sponsors. So what are some companies I think of? Well, every site that maintains a a good database of diverse patients, and starts to develop experience and expertise for their PIs and for their coordinators. Um, that is going to be a beneficiary. Any CRO that invests, and there's only like 5 major ones now, any CRO that invests in virtual trials, in hybrid trials, in patient centricity, in diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're going to do well. And then if you want to unpack it more, genomics is going to be huge, especially long read sequencing, which is going to replace short read sequencing, and multi-cancer screenings. I mean, I'm getting this all from like Kathy Woods' Big Ideas 2021 from ARK Invest. So, what are some companies I think are going to benefit from this besides the private ones, which is all of us in the industry, all of us that can get in? You can't, unfortunately, can't invest in uh, the employees of clinical research. It's not a stock. So there are a few public companies, and I mentioned them yesterday. Viva Systems, I think, is going to be one of them. All the CROs, IQVIA, Syneos, which I think is the most the least valued as far as price to earnings ratio. So Syneos is doing all the right things too, progressive, diversity, equity, inclusion, all those kind of things. Virtual trials, all of the CROs are going to do well. And with the CROs, if you want to invest in something that's safe, just to pick any of the CROs, I would go with Syneos because it's the cheapest in as far as price to earnings ratio is concerned. That's a risk free if they're a major CRO, if they're one of the big 5. It's risk free because even if they get acquired, they're going to get acquired at a premium. Look at what happened with PRA, right? When Icon bought them, they paid like a 30% premium. So that's the one. And then there's Pacific Biosciences, which kind of sells the equipment to do the long read sequencing of genomes, human genomes. And then there's also CRISPR, which is really good technology. I'm going to do an entire video on CRISPR Therapeutics, another company called Edit Therapeutics. What other ones were there? Those were the big ones. Those are the big ones that so all the major CROs, Viva, and these genomics companies. Those are the ones, if you want to ride, and those are the only ones that are like publicly traded. But if you want to bet on the next decade being extremely bullish, those companies are relatively risk-free, and potentially high reward. So, oh, good. Neha got the email this morning. That's right. So, Anne, it's probably going to spam. We can thank Gmail for this. Okay, we can thank the algorithm. This is why you guys, I always ask for like this video. If you're watching this, whatever platform you're on, like this video. If you're on Instagram, like it, comment, share if you can. That's what helps the algorithms. The algorithms are trained by default to not show things. So if you put likes and hearts and comments, it's going to start showing it. Christine Naro, Latinos in Clinical Research Brand Ambassador, welcome. Hello, Mohammed Hakim, CEO of TriWest in San Diego. How's it going? How's it going? Yes, you are on. Johanna, how are you? Off topics real quick. I wanted to sponsor a friend for your academy. When are classes? Oh, very nice of you. It's starting in April. Both classes are starting in April. CRA Academy and CRC Academy. Email me if you want brochures for both of them, and then if you want a phone call from myself or Monica, let me know. Okay, we'd love to get more people in research. Ashley Margot, how's it going? How's it going? Rod Raphael, always supporting, always spreading the love. Hopefully we can join. Yep. So those are the publicly traded companies that I think you can experience if you're like me and you also buy into what I think, my hypothesis, that clinical research is going to be great for 2021, going forward for the next decade. If you buy into that hypothesis, which maybe you don't, and then this is irrelevant for you. But if you also buy into that hypothesis, those are the stocks that I would be comfortable looking into. But that's just one way to take advantage. In the clubhouse, I kind of talked about it, and I kind of want to go in depth on this topic about turning income into wealth. So, a lot of you people that are already working in clinical research, maybe you have high incomes. Well, you need to convert that into a net worth. And investing is a good way to do that, but even more simple than that is just saving. So if you're going to be a beneficiary of the next decade, if you're already in the industry, that's going to be, the money, the increased income is going to come with the territory. So then it's a matter of knowing what to do with that increased income. If you're not in the industry yet, the best way to take advantage of this boom period is to get in the industry, which is what Rod Raphael's saying. New to research, join the academy. So that's the best thing you can do if you're not in the industry. If you are in the industry already, the best thing you can do to capitalize on these opportunities is to become a generalist, meaning be a multi-specialist. So become a specialist at one thing and then learn without anybody asking. Learn, put in the work to learn other things in the industry and make yourself indispensable to any employee, or sorry, to any employer or future employer. You can even go as far, if you really want to take advantage of the boom, is to create side businesses. So you can start consulting, or you can go one step further and just become an independent contractor, and your entire career could be a small business. So that's the way I would take advantage of the boom decade. Let's not put it to waste. We don't know. It's not always, for those that's just joining clinical research, it's not always this good. This is very busy. Mari Mayorga says it's very hard to get in. It is. It is very hard to get in. I think that's the barrier to entry, right? For most people, it's a knowledge gap and a know-how gap. But with all of our events that we're putting on, Latinos in clinical research, with all the networking that we can do on LinkedIn and on Clubhouse and on various platforms like this, and the video I just put out this morning with Monica about networking, those are the kind of things you need to be doing. Also, watching the small cap biotechs that I do talk about and going on clinicaltrials.gov and emailing them. You can email like directors usually. You can find their contact info on clinicaltrials.gov. You can even find people's cell phone numbers on clinicaltrials.gov for some of these smaller biotech companies. Guess what? All those companies are getting busy. All of them are getting busy. So you got to find your area of expertise. Everybody starts as a specialist, so there's no such thing as starting as a generalist. You have to start as a specialist, and then you yourself need to be dedicated enough to become a generalist, meaning without anybody telling you that you need to do it, other than me maybe, go out and learn new skills within your same sphere. So if you're a CRA, a natural extension would be learning how to help sites prepare for monitoring visits or prepare for audits. You can have a separate business just for that. This is the year to do it. I think it's going to be the decade to do it, but that's not a guarantee. All we know is right now it's busy. I think, again, it's just me. Well, there's a lot of people that kind of echo my sentiments too. That the next decade is going to be a boom decade. But there's never time like the present. Right now, it's guaranteed that the industry is busy. The industry is super busy. So it's not just a matter of investing in stocks. It's a matter of investing in yourself and investing in time so that you can network. Stella says, hey, I've been in this industry for a little over 10 years, currently working as a QA. Perfect. Quality assurance for an academic teaching hospital. Private consulting might be something I want to consider down the road. Consider it now. Okay, 10 plus years, you don't need to quit your job. You don't need to quit your job. All you got to do is find your resume, push duplicate. Okay, just even I know how to do this and I suck at technology. Click duplicate on your Word resume. Add one line above where you currently work and put independent consultant and then put what you do from March 2021 till present. Don't put an end date on your other job either, right? And then put that out there on Indeed, on Glassdoor, or I don't even know if you can upload on Glassdoor, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, and start networking with people on LinkedIn. You can do this. You can do it now. You don't need to wait. You don't need to consider down the road. 10 plus years, you've got more than what you need to start a business. And you can do it risk-free in an environment like this, or relatively risk-free. I mean, I don't know if your employer is going to see your resume. Maybe they're going to say, hey, what are you doing? But you're allowed to put your resume out there if you work for, if you're an employee. And especially if you've been someplace 10 plus years, they're not going to come down on you hard. So you don't need to wait. You don't need to wait. That's the whole point. Do it now. If you feel like you need to do it now. If you feel like you're not ready, then wait. But the risky part of waiting is that we're going to miss the boom. Because I've been through the bust too. I've been through the 2008 Great Recession. A lot of you guys are too young to remember that. I'm going to take a sip of my tea, let you guys reflect on that. A lot of you guys are too young to remember the Great Recession of 2008. Matter of fact, put in the comments right now if you were of working age during the Great Recession of 2008. Just put in the comments right now if you were. Earl Grey, iced Earl Grey. Mari Marga says, I'm very dedicated in the field, lots of training, but need a job. Yeah. I think the route you go is also independent contractor, Mari. I think I've seen your resume. Send it to me again. I'll take a look at it. As a valued member of Latinos in clinical research, send me your CV. Because it's all about networking and it's all about getting the opportunities while it's hot, right? So if you were around of working age during the 2008 Great Recession, put it in the comments. If you weren't, put it in the comments. The point of that is it's not always going to be a boom year. Okay, sometimes you'll get a bust. And we saw with coronavirus, other industries got wiped out. Clinical research got propelled forward. And probably that's the beginning of the boom decade, in my opinion. What is the easiest specialty to get in? I mean, is it data manager or site monitor? I don't think either of those. I think it depends on your background. It really depends on your background. But I think clinical research coordinator or clinical research assistant or in-house CRA are the easiest to get in. It doesn't mean it's easy either. It's the easiest in the context of a very difficult industry to break into. Adeline was working during the Great Depression. See, the people that remember the Great Depression, that had responsibilities, or sorry, not depression. None of us are that old. The Great Recession. The good thing about remembering the Great Recession is you have some humility. So you don't just think, okay, well, clinical research is amazing and it's never going to go through its cycles. Of course it will. I just think we're very lucky right now. In the era of genomic revolutions and artificial intelligence able to design molecules and gene therapy, there's a lot of opportunities. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in research going forward. How's everybody else going? Birat, Ron Wang, how are you? I studied laboratory medicine, only started following Dan's channel in 2018. Shortly got CRA position in a teaching hospital in oncology. Starting IHCRA position in April. Dan, I'm forever grateful. Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. See, this is, you can get hired. And this was in 2018. The industry wasn't even yet turning into a boom year. Like, we were turning probably 2019, 2020. And then 2019. 2019 was a very busy year also, and then COVID came. Everybody was very scared in March, not sure what's going to happen. People were getting laid off. Most of those people who got laid off got hired again. The ones that had experience, and even the ones that didn't, because they had experience anyways. With less or no experience, site level, small is the new big. With less to no experience, research sites in your area need help. They're beneficiaries of this boom. They need help getting studies, they need help getting patients, they need help branding themselves on social media, they need help doing community outreach, they need help with stuff in the clinic, clinops. They need help with people drawing blood, entering data, preparing them for monitoring visits, preparing them for site selection visits. There's opportunities everywhere. I was working in clinical research as CTA and TMF specialist, but had to take time off to take care of my kids due to the pandemic. Yep, I understand, and that definitely does happen, and that's probably related to schools being closed, right? And everybody's going to understand that if you have a gap on your resume because of that. But the important thing is you have the experience already, and it hasn't been that long since you had it. It's not like it's been 2, 3 years, but don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait very much longer. Rod Raphael on Facebook. Rod, everywhere I go, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse. Rod Raphael is there. If Christine is the Clubhouse queen, Rod is soon approaching Clubhouse king. If a study requires specialized assessments like ECGs, audiometry, infusions, that the coordinator is not trained on or not comfortable handling, how does the site address this issue? Well, the PI needs to make some recommendations. Remember, it's the PI's responsibility, conduct of the study. And if the PI is leaning on the site management to help with this, guess what? You guys either need to train the coordinator or bring in other people who are capable of doing these things. Like, for example, drawing blood, bring in a phlebotomist, bring in a medical assistant. ECGs, same thing. Infusions, bring in a study nurse. I mean, these things can get done. They need to get done. And matter of fact, they're going to ask you this at the site selection visit. So you need to have this, you need to have a solution to this before you even start the study. Right? Yeah, hoping to get back to work once things are normal and easy for kids to put them in daycare. Yep, I hear you. Here in California, they haven't even opened schools yet. CRC. Okay, I hear you, Neo. See, thank you very much for sharing that. Stella Park says, thanks for your advice. No problem. Rod Raphael, where's the Clubhouse invites? Yes, working in 2008. No, started in 2012. Yes, I was, but had just moved to US, no working visa. I remember I was 6 months from getting married and my now husband got laid off. COVID-19 made it my turn to get laid off. 10 months of looking for a full-time gig and counting. So if you have research experience, I would go independent contractor route right now. The reason why, so independent contractor route is less risky for employers because they don't have to commit to you, and it's relatively expensive to actually have an employee and there's more liability. So with a contractor, the trade-off is we're going to pay you more, but we're not going to do really any training. I mean, we're paying you because you know what you're doing already. There's very little hand holding, and you can you can get laid off first, or as soon as the gig is over, you can get laid off. So what does that mean as an independent contractor? You got to constantly be networking, constantly getting on LinkedIn, talking to recruiters, going on Clubhouse, going on Latinos in clinical research. Mari Marga says you should open your own clinic, then you can employ us. I wish could employ everybody. We are opening a new clinic, but we already have 2 coordinators for that clinic, and then the one that I'm going to open in Arizona, you're looking at the coordinator for like the first 6 months. It's going to be me while I'm training a medical assistant to take over. And then I'll be more of a site director, and then we start hiring more people. And this is how we do it at every clinic that we've had, even though they're small clinics, right? This is the recipe. Rod Raphael says, busting my ass in 2008. That's right. Rod's been doing this for a while. He is a very good person to get to know. In 2008, I just finished my school, studied pharmaceutical R&D, couldn't find jobs. Somehow I landed my first job in phase 1 CRO clinic. Good. Sometimes it's just a matter of luck, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. Neo, congrats. I'm following Dan as well. I hope I can find a job soon. I think you will. I really think you will. Apart from the PI and sub-I, does the site staff need financial disclosure signed? And does a PI and sub-I also need GCP certification? Yes, everybody needs GCP certification. As far as financial disclosures, anyone who's in box 6 of the 1572 needs to have a financial disclosure. Sometimes it's coordinators that are put on there. It depends on the sponsor. Rod says, come to Clubhouse on Friday Night Mixer. Absolutely. Rod is one of the moderators. Christine is one of the moderators. I'm one of the moderators. Ashley Margot is one of the moderators. Nadia is one of the moderators. Monica is one of the moderators. Experience is very important. It's the only thing that matters. Other than what can you do for us right now? That's what matters to you. Experience or what can you do for us right now? I mean, look at our social media manager right now for Latinos in clinical research, Chanel. Didn't know anything about research. She's been running our social media since the beginning of the year. She's learning about research. She's going to put on her resume now, clinical research branding expert, right? So she didn't have any experience, but we needed somebody. So for us, it was, what can you do for us right now? And she can definitely do a lot for it. It's easy to teach research. It's hard to convince an employer that you can provide immediate value. I think that's the key. That's the key. Is if you don't have experience, employers 90% of the time are thinking, well, what can you provide for me right now? I don't think you can provide anything for me right now. And then it becomes on the employee or the potential employee to convince them otherwise. And this kind of a dance that goes back and forth. If you're lucky, you get the dance. All right. Think about what a CV actually is. A CV is designed to get you to the next step, which is an interview. What does LinkedIn do if you're looking for a job? LinkedIn is designed to get you to the next step, which is an interview in the case of a job seeker. So LinkedIn and a CV is the same. Everybody sends their CVs. Very few people interact on LinkedIn. Which one do you think is going to stand out more? Sending your CV to 100 of people a week, which I do think you need to do, but not spamming. Or commenting on people in charge of hiring at companies you want to work for, commenting on their LinkedIn posts. Nothing to do with you, just commenting, sharing your thoughts. Or maybe not even commenting, just liking it or sharing it to your network. Those people who post those things see who likes, they see who comments, and they see who shares. So which one is going to get more attention from that hiring manager? You interacting with them on LinkedIn in a non-spammy way, which, by the way, almost nobody's doing, or you sending them a CV and a copy and paste message that they get hundreds of every week. Which one is going to get you noticed? Rod Raphael says, I'm currently out of invites. Who files 1572 form to the FDA, the site or the sponsor? The sponsor does. The site gives it to the sponsor and the sponsor does. When exactly is this form submitted to the FDA? Before SIV. And can a site come off the study after it is submitted to the FDA? Yes, sites can come off. Um, Now, if you're a site, you took on a study and now you just decide, hey, I don't want to do this study anymore, you can, but you're not guaranteed to get closed out. You might have to wait years until you can get closed out. So theoretically, you still could get audited by the FDA. It's unlikely if you didn't enroll any patients, but you can still get audited. And you still have the liability of maintaining the SUSARs, the investigator site file, all that stuff, even if you don't have any patients. Now, sometimes the sponsors take sites off the study because either poor data, no recruitment, or they just did something bad. So you can get closed out early as well by the sponsor. Elizabeth Aguilar Machuca. I am an international medical graduate from Mexico and recently came to US. I want to apply for medical license, but I want to have plan B and this option looks great. Absolutely. The fact that you're bilingual and Spanish is your language. First of all, you need to join LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. Just join it now. You're going to start networking, and we're open to all ethnicities. All right. Obviously, the emphasis is on Latinos in the industry. But Elizabeth, go to LatinosInClinicalResearch.com, join the email list, get involved with the Zooms. I think for you and many people in your case, you guys have a great career starting out as study coordinators, clinical research coordinators, and then either working your way into med school. I've had many employees from the past, from my old days at South Coast Clinical Trials, IMGs go on to med school. I've had other IMGs go on to become CRAs. I've had other IMGs go on to work for sponsors. I've had other IMGs go on to own their own sites. Once you're a clinical research coordinator, a lot of doors will be presented in front of you. Right now, you don't see any because you're not in the industry. Once you're in, and I think really the coordinator is like the hub of the industry, it's going to expose you to a lot of stuff. So, Elizabeth, LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. That's where you need to go. I am doing 2 very part-time gigs, but it's not anywhere near the money I was making. I was laid off from the travel industry last May, but I worked as a research coordinator from 2009 to 2014. So just build off of these part-time gigs. Update your resume with these part-time gigs on, and now re-upload your resume and start networking with job recruiters and people at biotechs and sites on LinkedIn. Not spamming, just interacting with them. It's very easy to do. You don't need to even create content. Someone will hire me eventually. Yep, if you do that, somebody will. Bio-nanogenomics, it's revolutionary. It's a game changer. It's a game changer for cytogenetics. Worth investing in, or is it too early? So I don't know enough about it. I don't know. I do know that genetics is gonna explode. I mean, it already has been. So anything genetics, genomics, therapy, screenings, all those kind of things. And it sounds like cytogenetics and bio-nanogenomics is along the same lines. I haven't done much research on those two things, to be honest with you. I've just kind of followed from ARK Invest with the Kathy Woods Big Ideas. Hello, Dan. Any idea if Clubhouse will be available on Android? I have no idea. I'm assuming it will, but I'm not part of like a Clubhouse ownership or director. I wish. Hey, Latinos in Research members in here. I'm sure Clubhouse gonna open it up for Android. Yes, Carla. Join Latinos in Clinical Research tomorrow. Dr. Gutierrez Santiago, the PI from Topaz Clinical Research, will be on. We just sent one email out today. So if you didn't get it, check in your spam. If you're not on the email list, go to LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. Get added to the email list because tomorrow I'm sending a reminder. It's at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm sending a reminder. And then on latinosinClinicalResearch.com, I actually have a calendar on the homepage, and it shows you our live events, when they will be. And we're going to be having more of them too. I see that you, Steve, and Monica are busy doing too many things, such as making videos, CRO, running LICR. How do you manage your time? It's all about people. There's no way I can do all this by myself. No way. Ask Ashley Margot, who's in our Latinos in Clinical Research. Without her, I couldn't keep my schedule straight. Ask Monica, who's in Latinos in Clinical Research. Without her, we could never do a CRC Academy or run my site in Buena Park that we're about to open. Um, Ask Chris. Without him, I couldn't do the consulting with the sites. I couldn't do the CRO. So I pick and choose where I spend most of my time. I just told one of my Patreon members this because he asked the same question. How do you manage all this stuff? Because he's trying to manage it. I I build, so I'm involved when I build. And then once it's up and running, there's a team that starts managing it. And I get involved again when there's issues. Like either big issues, obviously I have to get involved more, or little things to tweak. And then I can keep doing new projects without forgetting about the old ones. And right now I'm spending the majority of my time on growing Latinos in clinical research and also on the CRO and on making the videos, because the videos are like the marketing for everything. So that's primarily where I spend most of my time now. CRO, this is why I also do contract CRA. It helps me train our CRAs when we bring them on for our IITs. Right now we're just doing investigator initiated trials. Hey, Christine Naro, how's it going? Run, manage, oversee the actual studies, considering there are many things to do at a site. Yeah, and wait till I move to Arizona. I have until July. Basically, here's where we are now. It's March. I just told you where I'm focused on, right? Latinos in clinical research, my CRO, which I'm going to have to do the CRO for a while because that takes a long time to get up and running. Luckily, we have a lot of interns from our CRA Academy that come through and help, and we're bringing in more helpers, contractors, independent contractors to help run things smoother. When I moved to Arizona in July, I already have a PI, but I'm trying to find another PIs as well. When I moved there, the goal is to start a site prior to me moving there. That may or may not happen immediately, but whenever it does, I've got to now focus almost full time on that site because I'm going to be running that site. So that means that by that point, Latinos in clinical research should have enough momentum to where it's kind of running on its own without my involvement, without too much of my involvement. I'm always going to be on the Zooms. I'm always going to be on the founder calls. I'm always going to be promoting it. But as far as doing the day-to-day tasks, I won't have time for that. It's going to be about the site. So you just pick and choose what you're doing and have a team dedicated to the particular business. It's a challenge. It's not, I mean, that's the difference between a small business and a big business, right? And in my portfolio, I have like a portfolio of companies. They're all small businesses, but they're all being run by managers. So it's like my portfolio is turning into a bigger business. But each of the companies within my portfolio are still a small business, if it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense, but you're right. You have to pick and choose. Like, you have to figure out what it is that you need to do, get the momentum going, run it. Maybe you like running it, you continue running it. Maybe you like to focus on something else at that point. Then you bring in people and they work on the system that you've built. You got to create a system. I am doing both then. Marjorie and I, this is Carla. Marjorie and I get headhunters reaching out to us via LinkedIn. LinkedIn can work well when looking for work or contract work. Exactly. Elizabeth said she'll join. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Nancy Lockhart says, I have 4 Clubhouse invites if anyone needs them. Please contact me on LinkedIn. Her name's right there on the screen. You could see it, Nancy Lockhart. You have to have an iPhone right now. Please do not wait until the last minute. Exactly. Brent, I'm not currently looking, but wanted to hop on and see what was being discussed. Here's something I did. We know that the premium membership on LinkedIn alerts you and enables you to see everyone who looks at your profile. So when looking at job posts, I would always click on the job poster, and I would say 70% of the time they take a look at my profile. I would look at the entire talent acquisition team for that company. That's a good point. That's a really good point, Brett. So basically, he's saying it's even one step less than what I was recommending. I say comment, like, share their posts, but also just looking at their profile, they'll get triggered. They'll get alerted that you are looking, and then what happens? I do this all the time too. If I notice somebody was looking at my profile and I don't know who they are, I'll look at their profile too. Thank you, Brett. That's really good. Stephanie says, "Yep, networking 24/7. Need to join the Friday Clubhouse. I have an invite if anybody wants. Just add me on LinkedIn." And Sahu, I am from India. IMG from India. How to get into the industry? Same advice. Same advice I just gave to Elizabeth from IMG from Mexico. Study coordinator. Start applying. Sites love foreign trained physicians to groom them into coordinators because they understand clinicals. I mean, they're doctors, right? They're just not licensed in the U.S. Also, join LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. You have to start networking in Sahu. Join LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. It's open to all ethnicities. We have people of all backgrounds in there. It's networking. Sarah Omar, hi Dan. I have a couple of questions. I want to start my own research in Dubai. I have no idea where to start. I would like to keep in touch with you since I would like to translate the clinical trials guru experience to the MENA market. How can I stay in touch with you? Thank you so much. Just through LinkedIn. Just through LinkedIn, let me know what you have in mind, and I'll see if I can help. Hey Dan, can you talk a bit about what it takes to open a clinical site? Um, I've done a lot on this, Phil. I'm going to say go to my website, theclinicaltrialsguru.com. So it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com, just like this logo behind me, okay? Theclinicaltrialsguru.com. On the first page, you'll see a bunch of categories. Click on open a site. I think it's called open a site or open a clinic. Click on that. There's like 3 hours of videos of everything you need. Everything. We've thought of everything, including the waiting room chairs. What you need. How many SOPs does a clinical site have? Can you please briefly go through them? So we did a webinar on SOPs. I think what you mean is how many sections does a SOP have? Because a site should only have one SOP, not multiple SOPs. One SOP with a bunch of sections in it. So those are, I guess, mini SOPs. I think ours, it's on my other computer. Ours is about 50 something sections, and we keep adding to it when monitor asks us, do we have something? So an important one is the informed consent process SOP. What's your SOP for that? Another one is IP destruction, lab kit destruction, IP transportation. Those are some of the big ones that I could remember, but there's about 50 sections. And if you're a client of ours, if you're a client of DSCS, it's only $1,300 a month. We'll get you studies. We'll help you with your feasibilities. We'll negotiate your contracts and budgets for you, which one budget negotiated by us will pay for our service for the whole year. $1,300. We give sites our SOPs, and then you can modify the entire template for yourself to fit your needs. And we also create source documents for you for any study, whether we get it or not. We'll create the source documents for you, and we'll also negotiate your budgets for you, whether we get that study for you or not as well. So I think our services to sites are really good bang for your buck. It's $1,300 a month to month, no other fee, month to month contract. Um, Cancel at any time. And text me if you're interested in that 949-415-6256. Rod Raphael says, let me know if you need help in Mesa. No, I'm not going to Mesa route. I'm going to Yuma. Mesa's in Phoenix. I'm going to Yuma. There's no sites there. Carla says, absolutely, you need a team to run a business if you want the business to get big. Even if you want to keep the business small, but you personally want to move on to another project, which is like what I'm doing, I don't really want a big business. I want a big portfolio of business, but I like small. Small is good. Small is nimble. But even if you want small businesses to run without you, or more or less without, it's never going to be completely without you, but more or less without your day to day involvement, you need a team. Uh, Shafak asks, hi Dan, what's the scope of providing only data entry for clinical trials as a freelance? Well, if if you're only providing that, you're going to have a limited market remotely. Because think about it, if you're going to enter data for a site as a freelancer remotely, you have to keep in mind what the site has to deal with. The monitors are asking the site who enters your data. If they say we have a freelancer that works remotely, the monitor is going to say we need your SOP for this. So you're giving the site a lot of friction. You're giving the site a lot of obstacles they have to overcome. Not saying it's not possible to do. I'm just telling you this is why sites don't do these kind of things regularly. Um, you have to think about them, right? There's SOPs, the monitors. Is the sponsor going to be okay giving them the study if they know that somebody that's not even really associated with the site is in charge of data entry, which is the final product that they submit to the FDA? To me, as a site, that's risky. I don't want to tell a sponsor at a SIV or at a site selection visit that this is my strategy for data entry. They're going to say, well, this is unusual, so okay, I'm going to put this in my report and we'll see if you can get the study. So that you're going to have a limited market for that if you try. Not to say it's not possible. I just think you got to rethink it through. Think through the perspective of the site. And you have to know more about how the industry works. Um, it's important to have your LinkedIn profile complete as possible. I've been headhunted a couple of times. It really works. Being active on LinkedIn increases chance of getting a job. Exactly. Commenting, liking, sharing, looking at people's profiles, just being active. And also, a thing I learned on Clubhouse today from a job recruiter. You guys need to be on there. You guys need to be on latinosinClinicalResearch.com too. Um, your LinkedIn profile needs to be consistent with your resume. They need to be identical. So keep that in mind. Theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Got it. Thanks. Exactly. We've got tons of stuff for you. Phil, come to Friday Night Mixer. Absolutely, Phil. Come to the Friday Night Mixer. Rod is inviting you. During FDA audits, what are the most common issues or pitfalls when the sites are issued 483s? Are all warning letters 483? What triggers FDA audits? What triggers FDA audits are a couple of things. It could be random. Somebody's calling me, so it's interrupting the Instagram live. Sorry, Instagram. What triggers FDA audit is a number of things. It could be just random. It could be that you're a high enroller. It could be that the FDA has flagged your site for some reason, like the PI or something. Or it could be that the sponsor maybe is suspecting fraud or something like that and has the FDA come out. I have never been through an FDA audit myself. I've been through one as a CRA, but not as a site. I maybe someone can answer if all warning letters are 483s. I think so, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. And the most common issue is definitely patient PI oversight, patient safety issues, and a lot of consenting issues. And then I know that when the FDA is there at the site, the first thing they ask for is the SOP of the site, and then they check to see if you're following your SOP. And they could be there for one study, or they could be there for all the studies that you're doing. And usually when they're looking at your SOP, if you're following it, so that's another big finding too, is sites are not following their own SOP. Phil says, thanks, I'll try. Clubhouse. Hey Dan, I'm an MD from Canada but not licensed in the US. I'm trying to get into clinical research as a CRA or CRC. What should I highlight in the CV? You should highlight what skills you have. What have you done as an MD? Sites love that. I think you also need to network a lot more than you are. And I think that you need to apply to hundreds of places, not just one. And I think CRC is going to be much easier for you initially to get started than CRA. And I think you need to be on LinkedIn commenting on job recruiters' posts, interacting with sites. I think you need to join LatinosInClinicalResearch.com and meet some of the sites. You know how many of our students from the CRC and CRA Academy get internships with sites, and then the site likes them, they hire them? It happens a lot. So network, LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. If that still doesn't work for you, all this stuff, I would say CRC Academy or the CRA Academy, because you're guaranteed to get the internship. In the CRA Academy, you're guaranteed to get breast cancer internship right now, remote monitoring. Our next class starts in April. Phil says, sorry, can you share the details on the Friday mixer? It's just Clubhouse, Phil. It's from 5 p.m. Pacific, and it goes for about 2 hours. Last one went like 2.5 hours. And people are just talking from all different aspects of the industry. We've had job recruiters in there. We have sites, CRAs, CROs, vendors, people from biotechs, everywhere. This is a place to be. So thank you guys. Thank you guys very much for your time and your questions. Remember, CRA Academy gives you the experience during the internship. Starting in April, we have a new class coming up. CRC Academy gives you the experience starting in April as well. Thank you guys. Happy Monday. I look forward to talking to you guys later. Bye-bye.